Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. Happy Friday. So Ryan Reynolds just confirmed that they've finished filming the Deadpool movie, so I thought it was time to do a new bonus video. This is going to be some of Deadpool's biggest female characters. There are a whole bunch of women that he's run into in big storylines, like Black Widow for instance, but these are mostly going to be X-Men based characters, just, people that the movies could actually have a chance of doing. You have to remember that Deadpool is part of the X-Men universe, he's not part of the Marvel universe. So until they reach some sort of Spider-Man arrangement, don't expect to see any Deadpool in the Marvel universe. First up is Dr. Betty, aka Dr. Hotness. She was a doctor that worked for AIM that was trying to infiltrate Hydra on a mission to the Savage Land to recover the zombie head of Deadpool. She debuted in Merc with a Mouth #1, which is actually just one of the best Deadpool storylines ever, so it's actually good to read if you haven't checked it out yet. Hydra was trying to find the zombie head to turn it into a weapon, it still carried the zombie virus. Betty got stuck in the Savage Land, so Deadpool was hired to go in and get her. So it became this big Deadpool versus dinosaurs situation, which is awesome. I feel like the best Deadpool stories are the most ridiculous ones. Next up is Copycat, aka Vanessa Carlyle. This is the character that Marina Baccarin is playing in the movie, which is funny because she's also a cast regular on season 2 of Gotham this year, so she's jumping back and forth between DC and the X-Men universe. Her version of the character is probably going to be vastly different than what's in the comics, just because Copycat is so nuts. She became so obsessed with him that she would shapeshift into the form of other women that he was dating. The first time she appeared was in New Mutants number 98, and in that issue she was also pretending to be Domino, who was in a sexual relationship with Cable. So you can see how the movie might sidestep some of that craziness. Her ability works a lot like Mystique's, only it goes way beyond that. She has the ability to perfectly mimic other people's powers, which Mystique can't do. It is rumored though that she's Mystique's daughter, which would make her Nightcrawler's sister. Most of the time when she showed up, she's been an X-Force or a New Mutants character, but she did have a really minor part in Marvel's Civil War event. She's just a character that gets really tied up in the origin story of Deadpool himself, so she's going to be a big part of the movie. Most likely is Deadpool's ally, because as crazy as she sounds, she still loves him. But she knew him before he became Deadpool and after. Next up is a fun one, the personification of death. She and Deadpool had this really funny romance that kind of started during the Deadpool Death Annual in 1998. Deadpool just started to fall in love with her because he had so many near-death experiences. She also started to fall for him too, so he started to look for ways to join her so that his spirit could live with her forever. But Thanos, who's historically been obsessed with death, got super jealous because she preferred Deadpool over him, so he cursed Deadpool with immortality so that they could never truly be together. That happened during Deadpool Volume 2, number 61. In terms of level of ridiculousness, this is, closer to the top of the pile in terms of Deadpool stories, just because the idea of the personification of death falling in love with a regular character just is hilarious. If Death is going to fall in love with someone, of course Deadpool is going to be really high on the list, along with Adam Warlock and Thanos. The tone that takes whenever it's told from Thanos' perspective, like during the Infinity Gauntlet storyline, is way more serious though. The Deadpool version is like the ridiculous edition of that. Up next is Anaconda, whose real name is actually Blanche. She's actually one of the few characters that Deadpool's admitted to being afraid of. They met for the first time in Cable and Deadpool number 9. She's like another mercenary with superhuman abilities that was trained by Taskmaster, but she's been a member of Six Pack along with a couple other Deadpool female characters. Then there's X-Force and Serpent Society. She started out as just like a normal steelworker for Roxxon. I mean she's like a pretty big girl to begin with. But they recruited her to become a secret agent, laced her body with adamantium, and then gave her some extra genetic enhancements that kind of made her look a little bit like a snake. In the context of the movies, you can think of her as being like a version of Lady Deathstrike from the second X-Men film. That version was like a dramatic change from the Lady Deathstrike of the comics, but you get the idea. She had the ability to elongate certain parts of her body. She was like super bendy, super flexible, super strong. Next up is Domino, aka Nina Thurman. She's another character that's had run-ins with Copycat in really funny ways, but she's a former member of X-Men and a longtime lover of Cable's. She debuted in New Mutants number 98, the same issue that Copycat debuted in, but whenever Domino showed up for the first time, she was actually secretly Copycat. It was like an imposter Domino. Her powers, not Copycat's but Domino's, are kind of a spin on Scarlet Witch's, minus the chaos magic. She has the ability to affect probability. She's like a way less powerful version of Scarlet Witch though. She mostly works as a mercenary, so she's highly skilled with guns. She is a mutant, but she got her powers as the result of a government genetic breeding program. She wasn't like one of the X-Men that pop up just because of random genetic chance. In addition to X-Men though, she's also been a member of X-Force and Six Pack. You get the idea. You know, a lot of Deadpool characters are also X-Force characters just because Deadpool was in those comics for a long time. Next up is Outlaw, aka Inez Temple. She was naturally born a mutant, but her only real ability is enhanced strength. Later, though, she became a master marksman. So she's mostly a mercenary that just also has super strength. She and Deadpool had this really fun adventure when they were hired to steal Punisher's Colt 45s. It was an epic fail. Punisher ended up locking them in a phone booth naked. But she did develop a relationship with Deadpool, so they did have a lot of fun sexy time. She's another one of those X-Men universe characters that showed up during Marvel's Civil War, so don't expect her to show up in any of the Marvel films, especially Captain America Civil War. She would be like a light version of Black Widow, just because they do a lot of the same things, even though Black Widow doesn't have super strength. The fun twist on that, because Black Widow had a big thing with Hulk in Age of Ultron, is that Inez actually hulks out a little bit, gets like a little crazy when people call her by her nickname, which is Crazy Inez. She picks it up as a child, absolutely hates it, so anytime anyone calls her that, she just flips her shit. She debuted in Deadpool number 65. She was actually created by Gail Simone, but Suicide Kings is another cool storyline if you want to read more about her. And finally, last big one, the evil Queen of the Dead, aka Mrs. Deadpool. Shikla was the catalyst of the wedding of Deadpool's storyline recently. Dracula hires Deadpool to escort his new bride to their wedding. He's going to have this political marriage that's going to unite a lot of factions. She herself was a pretty terrible person, getting married to another terrible person, Dracula. A rival group of vampires tried to kill her en route. Deadpool saves her. In the course of events, she gets out. She and Deadpool go on the run because so many people are after them, including Hydra. They develop something of a relationship. When they finally escape everyone, they go back to New York and have a wedding officiated by Nightcrawler, attended by a bunch of other big characters. You have to remember she's the evil Queen of the Dead, so the first time Deadpool helps her out, does something nice for her, she actually tries to steal his life force by kissing him. So she's certified evil, even though she becomes something of a sympathetic character in this storyline. That was in The Gauntlet Infinity, so I recommend you check that out. That happened pretty recently. So there are a whole bunch of other female characters that Deadpool gets involved with. You're like Elektra, who's going to be in Daredevil Season 2, as well as Siren, another X-Men character. But let me know, what is your favorite female Deadpool character? I'm sure some of you are raising your hands and saying Lady Deadpool, who's an alternate universe version of Deadpool. I don't even want to think about what that relationship would look like. The funny thing about the women that Deadpool runs into is, either they end up in actual relationships, they either end up hooking up, or he just ends up flirting really awkwardly with them. I mean, he's the merc with the mouth, so you can't expect him to not hit on anything that moves. The movie itself, the Deadpool movie, is going to be a little more subdued, just because they're not spending $150 million on it like they would on an Avengers or a giant X-Men film. But do expect a lot of minor characters to show up. Because it is an X-Men crossover film, it's part of the X-Men universe officially, I wouldn't be surprised if a few minor X-Men characters showed up, but nobody's been confirmed. Ryan Reynolds has been really good about posting stuff from the set, so if there's any other Deadpool videos that you guys want from the comics or, just about the movie, leave your requests in the comments and be sure to subscribe to get everything. This summer's going to be a lot of fun. I'm doing a lot more movie videos this summer. Speaking of which, if you guys haven't seen it, I just did a big Suicide Squad video. You can click here to watch that, and you can click here to learn all about the new Guardians of the Galaxy TV series. It's a new animated series that's coming later this summer. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tomorrow.